Good afternoon, class. My name is Daniel Davenport, and today I want to talk to you about the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, which is also known as TAPS. Before I begin, I want to introduce you to my audience members.
I'm Janelle Martin.
And I'm Art Martin.
So before we begin, I wanted to give you a couple questions to think about as we go through this briefing to help you get into the mindset of what this briefing is about and what we support. Have you ever lost someone in your life? How did you feel when you lost that person? Do you feel as though nobody understands how you felt? Do you know somebody who has lost somebody in their life? How do you think they felt when they lost that person? And finally, if you could be there for somebody in their time of need, would you and why? So that brings us to the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, which is also known as TAPS. A couple of their models are Survivors Helping Survivors Heal and Caring for the Families of the Fallen. TAPS is a 24/7 tragedy assistance resource for anyone who has suffered the loss of a military member, a loved one, meaning whether it's a family or a friend of a family. It doesn't have to be related to you, regardless of the relationship of the deceased or the circumstances of loss, which also means it doesn't have to be a military-related death. It can be a car accident, stateside, or anything like that. Founded out of tragedy in 1994 by Bonnie Carroll, who is the founder and also the president, TAPS has established itself as the frontline resource to the families and loved ones of our military, men and women. TAPS provides comfort and care through comprehensive services and programs including peer-based support, casework assistance, connections to community-based care, and grief and trauma resources. TAPS conducts regional survival seminars and good grief camps at locations across the country. Their National Military Survivor Seminar and Good Grief Camp has been held annually since 1994 in Crystal City, which is in Washington, D.C., on Memorial Day weekend. This is my first time volunteering for this organization this past Memorial Day for the Good Grief Camp. And what the Good Grief Camp is about is to teach the family members, mainly the children, that grief is a good thing. As a kid, when we're brought up, we're often told, we're often under the impression that grief is bad. When you lose someone, people constantly come to you and say, oh, I know how you feel, and it's going to get better, and things like that. But coming from somebody who possibly has not lost somebody, or maybe you don't feel understands how you felt, it may not mean as much. And what TAPS does at the Good Grief Camp is it brings children and families from all over the world to this one location once a year so that they can share their stories with each other. It's kind of a brother and sisterhood that everybody knows when we come there. The stories that we tell stay where they are. They stay in the room and the groups that we have. It allows for the kids to learn that grieving is good, and that's what you have to do as a part of the healing process when you lose someone. So my first experience at the Good Grief Camp was going to orientation and meeting the children. They pair you up ahead of time so that the families fill out a questionnaire. So in my case, I had a young girl who lost her father. So of course they wanted a father figure, an older male, to be her mentor. So I was chosen and I met her on day one. The kids have sometimes been there once, twice, or even 3 years. So sometimes they become the teacher. And the other thing that TAPS wants you to understand is that it's not just grief for the kids. You're not just there to support them. By the end of the 4 days, you'll learn that they're there to support you. Because most times out of not, the volunteers that come to help support TAPS have lost somebody in their life. So by the end of your 4 days, you'll have learned something, or you'll have been able to grieve about the loss of your loved one that you didn't before. My experience was amazing. It was a first-time experience, and as they call it, a tap addict. I will return. I'll be back next year and every year after that, if possible. It's a good place to go for you. It's a good place to go if you want to help others. It does amazing things for the kids. Initially, you're partnered with one. By the time I finished my 4 days, I had 4 kids. So it's a great thing. And even though the national seminar is only that Memorial Day weekend, they also have other seminars regionally that they do. For example, on July 10th, they have parents retreat at Fort Carson, and on August 12th to the 14th, they have a good grief camp, a camp out for the kids to do. So they have those all around the nation to participate. So it's not just one weekend out of the year. They also encourage you to maintain communication with the kids, on the anniversaries of the loved one's death, birthdays, holidays, and things like that. It's a great experience. I think anybody who's into helping kids or helping anybody, you don't have to donate money. You can. There's other ways for you to donate to the charity if you choose, but just donating your time and being there for the kids during their time of need is all that they ask. If you would like to support it, or you know anybody that would, you can always go online to www.taps.org, taps.org, or you can call toll free at 1-800-959-TAPS, which is 8277. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed this and possibly piqued your interest in the organization. Do you have any questions?
No, sir.